Hello, welcome to the podcast. This is our final class of our masterclass on shadow work. We've been going through the book. I wrote the book on shadow work, how to do shadow work, how to combine astrology with shadow work, and how to tap into our masculine and our feminine energies to dive so deep into shadow work. Okay, so we've gone through those first three parts of the book, all of those topics. So go back, watch the podcasts. And now we're at the final section of the book. How have I wrapped it all up? You're wondering, how do I get you to dig even deeper than we already have? So there's extra journal pages at the end. I'm just going to read the first journal prompt that I've created in the book. Visualize yourself in the future. What does your dream life look like? Who's there with you? Where do you live? What do you do? And does your 7-year-old self think it's fun? If it's not fun, can you make some adjustments? So I'm just going to stop there just for a little minute because I brought up the 7-year-old self. Now, if you've been watching the podcast, doing the work in the book, you know that our unconscious programs, which are our shadows, are basically locked in by age 7. So something in our previous to 7-year-old mind decided this is unlovable, this is unacceptable, and so I'm going to lock it away. And then we become on programs. This is what our unconscious mind does. And so I've taught you in this book, this is how the brain works, this is how the body reacts, this is how we can rewire our brain. And it's stuff that's locked in usually all before the age of 7, usually from trauma. Could be big T trauma, little t trauma, but I really do ask you to ask your 7-year-old self here, is this fun? Are you having fun? And I think that's something that we all need to ask ourselves every day. Is this fun? Would my 7-year-old self agree? And so tapping into the inner child work, we got into that in the podcast. Go back and watch those ones if you like. So lots of journal prompts at the end, as well as lots of inspirational quotes, places to color if you like. Here's a quote. The root of suffering is attachment, says the Buddha. Lots more journal prompts. Here's another journal prompt. List the top triggers that repeat in your life. How would your life be if you no longer reacted like that? How would it feel to live without these repeated patterns? And then beside it is another beautiful quote and picture, and it says, not everything that weighs you down is yours to carry. Okay. Here's a great quote by Genevieve Tager. She is an amazing life coach. You can find her online. I include so many life coaches that I follow, that I love, that I listen to on their podcasts. I've directly quoted a lot of them throughout this book. And here's a great one. And it helps you understand your intuition even further. Here we go. Quote, if your senses are in your gut, you need to learn how to discern. Gut feelings are mostly always fear-based. If you're having a gut feeling and you think it's your intuition, ask yourself this. Does this gut feeling feel expansive or does it feel limiting? That's how you can learn to discern between a gut feeling and your intuition. And I think so many of us do this, me included, for years and decades. Oh, my gut says so. It's fear. It's fear, and it's that egotistical mind that's running on repeat. And I think that learning this is so empowering. At first, when you learn how this truly works, how the brain truly works, how our body reacts, the gut reacts to these egotistical thoughts. I think at first that can be a trigger. At first, that can be a hard stop. I'm going to stop learning this stuff. I'm not going to do shadow work. For the longest time, I can definitely relate to that for years, just being caught in those egotistical thought patterns, those knee-jerk reactions, closing off to that feedback, closing off to the feelings. But if you don't get into your divine feminine, then you are not in touch with your intuition. And I think Genevieve does a great job of describing the difference between a gut feeling and your intuition. So there's another little nugget right there. Okay, oh, I'm going to use a swear word here. This is one of my favorites. And I made this one up. Okay, here's a beautiful picture. It's not me, but isn't she a beautiful goddess? And here is a quote that I made. Might fuck around and normalize difficult conversations without creating any unnecessary drama. Sorry, but I think that's just brilliant because that was on repeat for a while in my life. Just avoiding the difficult conversations, creating unnecessary drama behind the scenes because I just am too ashamed to actually have the difficult conversation. Anyone else relate to that one? Okay, here's another journal prompt. Is it possible that your triggers and your shadows are trying to relay an important message to you? If so, what would the messages be? So lots of great, I love this one. Thoughtful. Oh, I love this one by Eleanor, and I'm going to go back to another one. Eleanor Roosevelt's quote, great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people. And that's definitely another prompt to get out of the gossip. And I told you, I quit the gossip years ago. I was sharing in another podcast, and boy, did that change things. And again, change can be scary. And that's why so many people stop at the shadow work. They want to stop the cycles that are on repeat. You learn how the mind works, you learn how the body reacts and gets addicted to it. Okay, you understand it logically, but then when you realize you have to make some serious changes, you have to focus and you have to practice and you have to make change, that's when a lot of people quit. So if you're still listening, if you're doing the work in the book, awesome. You know, you're committed to self-awareness and becoming the next version of yourself. And I think I'll close with this one. There's many, many more. And I share inspirational stories. I share a big story here at the very end about becoming fully integrated. What does that even mean? And how that's been a huge part of my shadow work journey. So I invite you to get the book and read my story there. But I think I will close with this inspirational quote by the channel named Tara Arnold. She's another amazing life coach that you can find online. She does a YouTube channel and a podcast as well. And I absolutely love her work. And she is channeling Saint Germain when she speaks. And here is what she says, quote, if you weren't attached to needing anyone to love you, and you gave that love to yourself, no one could hurt your feelings. You must love yourself more than you need to please somebody else's ego. It's all about loving the God within yourself so that you no longer feel separate from the universe, end quote. I love this one because I'm just as much to blame as the next gal. Feeding someone's ego, not saying what you really want to say, giving the feedback, because you know when you start giving the feedback, that's when the person will turn on you. And when someone is stuck in that negative cycle, when someone is stuck in that unconscious block, that it just is returning on repeat, and you can see it because you're on the outside looking in, it's not your experience, and you get to know the person. And you get to see what their cycles are, and you get to see that they're stuck in a story. And when you start to give the feedback gently and respectfully, and then they lose their mind and they leave, you have to be okay with that. And I think that that is a big reason why so many people quit the shadow work, because they know there's going to be huge changes in relationships. It means you need to make huge changes and you need to show up differently in relationships, and it's going to end relationships and it's going to end jobs, perhaps. Life's going to look a lot different is what I'm trying to say when you really get honest with shadow work. So it's not pretty, it's not sexy, it's not fun, but when you can get to the other side, that's where your personal freedom is. And when you know thyself, that truly is the goal. It's your it's everybody's life purpose, is to know thyself in this life, to dig deep into who you are, what makes you tick, and to rewire your brain to level up and to glow up and to get to the next level. How else are you going to get to the next level if you're not willing to make the change? So I hope these podcasts, this book, has been an inspiration to you, please, I beg of you, I've been begging you in all these podcasts, don't blame yourself. Don't shame yourself. We've all been there. We've all been on repeat. We've all done stupid things and said stupid things and really screwed up our lives. We've all done that. Now it's time to take our power back. We are no longer going to be charged by our emotions. We're not going to go to that extreme charged place, and we're going to learn how to respond versus to react. So that's the whole point of these podcasts, of this book. Please pick it up. There's so many journal prompts. There's so much more inspirational quotes. I share my personal stories in here, fully integrated at the end. What does that even mean? How did that even come about? So please do pick up the book. Links in my link tree. It's available on Amazon. So thank you so much for joining along on this journey. Looking forward to the next set of podcasts. Open to feedback and suggestions, what you want to hear. I'll definitely be doing some astrology updates too. So thank you so much.